Welcome, everybody, to episode 34 of the Microgreen Thumbcast. Today, we're going to go over marketing and sales and getting your product to market. We're going to focus on building your brand. Diving deep into the brand element segment, we're going to explore how to create a cohesive and more memorable brand identity of your microgreen business. This involves more than just logo. It's about crafting a consistent visual narrative brand resonating with your target audience. Before we get into the episode, let me welcome in our co-host, as always, Andy. Andy, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a crazy past week getting a lot done on the new shop. Had
Yes.
4 contractors out this week. I got to pour 800 pounds of concrete yesterday, so
Just a few.
I'm feeling it everywhere.
Everywhere in the body. And then you got to do the 8-hour gap certification today, too. So after all that work and sitting down for that long probably hurt even more.
Yeah, definitely. Every time I got out of the chair today, I was like, "Woo, okay, there's that concrete yelling at me."
For sure. All right. So the first thing we want to talk about is logo design. So logo design is highly important. You want it to make your brand stand out from everybody else and convey what your brand is about, what your business is about. So, everybody has a great brand. Apple, Nike, Reebok, everybody has a logo and a brand. And you know what that means. The Nike's got the swoosh. Apple has the apple. You know them brands. So you want to make yourself memorable as too. We got a little leaf in ours, obviously, and it's itty bitty microfarm. So them things stand out. People call us itty bitty microfarm all the time, more than our names. So them things stand out. So you want to make sure that your brand identity is within that product. Like Andy has Fresh Source Farms, he has fresh products and you can source them. It just makes sense. The name makes sense and make it unique, make it for your area. Even if you're just going to be hyper local, you can make your logo and your name for your hyper local area. Andy, how'd you come up with your name to begin with, if you remember that far back?
Yeah, I definitely do. And the funny thing is, we actually had picked out, I want to say 5 or 6 names. And we posted a thing on Facebook just, to ask all of our friends. I tagged my wife in the post and they just said, "Hey, out of these 5 or 6 names, if you were going to go to the grocery store and you were going to buy vegetables made by any of these manufacturers, if you will," I said, and they were all exactly the same. They all looked perfect. They all, had no issues. They were all the same price. Based on the name alone, which one would you actually pick? And that was overwhelmingly the name that they chose was Fresh Source Farms. And we had, I think another one was like Woodfire Farms, which I really loved, but it made no sense for microgreens. I just thought it was a cool name because I love camping and, sitting around a fire and stuff like that, but it made no sense for what we were actually trying to accomplish. So luckily Fresh Source Farms ended up being the winner in the long run. So that's literally how we picked our name.
Nice. Put in the comments what your logo name is, what your company name is, everything else. And does it equate to the microgreen business and everything else? Let us know what your name is in the comments as well, or what you're thinking about it being, and we'll talk about it later down on this episode. We'd be interested to know that for sure. But when you're creating a logo, okay, you came up with a name. You came up is the first most important thing is coming up with the name, then coming up with the logo second. After that, to equate what the name is. So then you want to worry about color schemes and identity and visual identities. So like we have the green leaf in the middle and it's the black with itty bitty microfarm. So we want the leaf to stand out. That's what we want people to remember our logo by when they see it. We went back and forth many times on different logos, different ways it was set up. We had an idea and a scheme, but then we sent it to a graphic design person who made the final scheme of it and everything else to do it, and came back with like 5 different options. We picked 1 or 2 out of that. I think we picked 2, and then we kind of decided after that but it was a process to do on that. You can get graphic designers on Fiverr for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever you want to do there. You can go that route too. We paid like $200 for ours because we wanted to make sure it was right. And wait, it looks simple, but sometimes simple is good. You don't have to be extravagant and make it really bad. Apple's pretty simple. Nike is a pretty simple logo. They're all simple, and you remember them. Andy, how'd you come up with your logo and everything with your color schemes?
So once we had the name figured out, my daughter Maddie, who works full time for us, she is an artist. And so I sent her the name and I said, I want you to come up with some kind of just a little design that will go above the name. So I sent her, the name, and she actually started drawing up a couple different ideas and she sent some over to me. And so we settled on what we ended up with in our, the little kind of flower looking thing on the top of our logo. And then I literally probably spent I'd say the next 3 days picking fonts. I have thousands and thousands of fonts that I've collected over the years of doing graphics design work and stuff like that. And, of course, this was all long before Google Fonts was a thing. Now you can just go get as many as you want anytime you want. And that's the easiest way to do it for sure. So I had a document that just had the words fresh source typed in. It had to have been 30 pages worth of fonts. And I printed them all out and I gave them to a bunch of different people. And I said, "What's your favorite font? What's your favorite font?" And then we narrowed it down to like probably about 10 or 12 different fonts. And then I created each individual one to see what it would look like. And then we settled on the one that we ended up settling on, which I think is called Myriad Pro, I believe is the actual like fresh source piece of it. But for us, we really wanted fresh source to jump in their face. So we did like a really unique font with the big letters for fresh and source. And we purposely made them two different colors. So it's like really easy to visually see both of them. Um, Farms was really the least important thing out of what was on there. We wanted fresh source. That's what people call us. Just like you guys, they probably call you itty bitty, now and
Hmm.
then. I mean, they call us
Yep.
fresh source 9 times out of 10. They didn't even really tack on the farms, but we also didn't want to have like a limitation in our name to where we'd be like, fresh source microgreens or something like that. We wanted to have farms as an option to be able to grow regular vegetables if we decided to, or plant starts or herbs or edible flowers and things like that. So that's why we ended up just keeping it with farms instead of kind of going like down just the microgreen route.
Yep.
Uh, Kind of the thought process behind picking the name as well. But yeah, it was kind of a creative thing. But the cool thing is, I mean, we're a family owned business, and literally the name, the logo, everything was created within family and friends.
Nice.
Which is really neat. So, and a majority of it was within family. So, but it was a process. I mean, graphic. It's very important to spend time on your logo. 'Cause, I
Yes.
mean, I've seen a lot of really nice logos that get posted to some of the Facebook groups, and I've seen a lot of really awful logos that get posted by people that just threw something together in, Microsoft Paint or something, and they thought it looks great. And it may to you, but ultimately the biggest important thing is visibility. I mean, shrink it down really small on your screen and stand 15 feet away. You should be able to read every single piece of wording that's on there and get people to ask, what's the first thing that jumps off the page at you? Because ultimately I've seen a lot of logos too where like the important piece is not the main focus, the name of your business. You may see something different first and you may not make that association. So it's really important to really go through that process and involve other people and get other people's opinions and take their opinions seriously. Because you may think you have something that looks amazing, but it may not be branded well, if that makes
Yep.
sense. It may not be laid out in a way that people are going to really recognize it right off the bat. And it's funny because I was driving through Elkton where I live the other day, and I don't know if it's a local company or national company, but it's called Fastenal. And I barely just saw the edge of the truck, and it was just on the colors alone and the specific way the
Yep.
out. I could tell what the brand was on that truck before I even saw the actual brand. So it's just little things like that, like the Nike swoosh. They don't need to say Nike. They just put the little check mark and
Yep.
everybody knows what it is. So that's you want to get to that point with your branding. And it's really important to get a logo solidified. And if you have to pay somebody, do it. It's well worth the money.
Yeah. Paying for branding, paying for a logo, definitely is very much worth it. Paying and getting that right in the beginning, because that's going to be your identity forever. You can change it, yes, but that is hard to do. Changing a logo once you have it set and everything else, if you change it, you got to do a lot of marketing then and say, hey, we are still this, we change into this. So you're going to spend money there. So might as well just spend money up front and get the great logo that you want. So that way you don't have to do all that later down the road. Think about, in any major company, when they change something, they spend a ton of
Yeah.
money on changing one little tiny thing because they want to make sure people recognize it. So spend the money up front. It's going to save you a lot of money. With Fiverr these days, you can get it done pretty cheap at a pretty good rate. But friends and family, find somebody that's really good at graphics designs or good at art or something like that, like Andy did, will make a big difference as well. So definitely check that out.
Yep. And if you go down that road, I just want to throw out there real quick that make sure what you get back from your artist is a vector based image. That is basically
Yeah.
just shapes that you can expand infinitely. You can print it in high quality on the side of the moon and it would still look perfect. So you should at least get an EPS file or an AI file, which is an Adobe Illustrator file. You want to have at least one of those two formats. Those are going to be vector based. They can be any size, so that it's great for print. That's really what you're looking for. If you
Yep.
want that really crisp, really beautiful looking print, then that's what you need is either an AI file or an EPS file. If they give you like a JPEG or a PNG, No. Don't pay them until they give you a vector-based image. That's what you really want.
Yeah, you want that really, really nice image that you can use and distort and bit down and everything else so you can change it around. So yes, definitely get that. You don't want to not be able to do that and have a really nice image that you pay a lot of money for and you can't use it and change it
Yeah.
and sizes and all that stuff that you need to put on there. Great points, Andy. Thank you. Very good. Talking about after you got all that set and everything else, now your brand voice. That's what's going to be very important is your brand voice now out there. So that mirrors, you want your brand that mirrors your business personality and values a creative, deep connection with your audience. So you got to have that brand voice. So when you're going out, you're putting your marketing out, using the logo and you're using all that stuff. Now your brand voice is what's going to come in play of defying what your company is about and what your mission statement is basically. So what is your mission statement? What are you branding? What are you doing? Let them know who you are. Like everybody knows Nike does Nike shoes mainly, right? They also have apparel, but everybody knows Nike is shoes. Apple, computers, Macs, phones. You know what they do. They got their brand voice out there. So you always want to have your brand voice out there and make sure it equates to what you are doing with your logo, with your name, with everything that you've done previous up to this and your colors and everything like that. Storytelling connects emotionally with people. So you got to go out there and tell stories. Nike's done a very good job of telling stories and how they came about with Michael Jordan and everything else and all that stuff, and makes a really, really good story and really connects personally with people who grew up in that era. So you got that, so they tell more stories about their athletes that are on there and everything else. So you can do the same. What's your passion? Why did you start a business? Why did you start growing microgreens? Why did you enter vertical farming or whatever you're doing? Convey that information in your storytelling that matches your brand colors and name and everything else. Andy?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And what's really it's important because you want your brand to match your personality,
Yes.
like to a certain extent. I mean, there's a reason why we painted the inside of our space with the bright orange and bright green that we have on our logos because it was all just a branding move, but for us it's that bold in your face, colors that really pop off of like a white background or a black background, which is why we decided to go that route. And yeah, there's tons of great branding options out there, for different businesses that do it well. And if you haven't already, I would highly recommend. There's a movie they actually made of Nike acquiring Michael Jordan. I can't remember what the name of it
Yep.
is off the top of my head, but it was phenomenal.
Yes.
Really, really good movie. So it's just neat to see like how because they were struggling. I mean, they were barely selling any shoes at all,
Yep.
and they had no market whatsoever in the basketball world. And they took a chance on Michael Jordan,
Yep.
and it just obviously exploded. So it's really kind of a great way to see how doing branding the right way can turn your entire business around. So I would definitely recommend watching that movie. I wish
Yeah.
I could remember what it was off the top of my head. I watched it like
Um,
2 years ago.
I don't
Phenomenal.
remember what the name of the movie was, to be honest with you, but I remember the story. Like Nike was jogging outfits. That's what they
Yeah.
were. They were jogging outfits and they dabbled in the market and they would pick like the number 10, 15 pick, 20 pick and spread their money out for basketball shoes along that. And then they made a gamble and went after the Michael Jordan and spent all their money on them and everything else and more than what they wanted. And obviously that gamble paid off. So yeah, it's a very good story. Probably got more people in it and everything else. Air. It's called Air. Makes sense, right?
Yeah. I
Air.
just found it. I was gonna
Yeah.
say the same thing. Yep.
It just
Phenomenal movie.
clicked.
Very, very
Uh,
good movie.
Yeah, very good movie. Very, very well put together. Although you never see Jordan in the whole movie. Like the person who played Jordan, you never see his face or anything. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting the way they did that.
Yeah, which
But
was a little annoying, but they made it
yeah,
work.
they made it work. Definitely. So you're online. So you're marketing your story branding that we're talking about. I know we're using the bigger companies, but we're using it because that's what you guys know. So doing that storytelling and everything else about your business, what your passion is huge. And then your online presence, because most of us don't start out in a store. You don't have a storefront. Most of it, 99% of us don't have a storefront. So your online presence is your storefront. When you got your products on there and everything else, and it's somewhat better because you can show the products being used. You can show how to cook with them, all that stuff, your packaging and everything else. So you've got to have a really good online presence, showing your products, showing yourself harvesting, showing people behind the scenes, bring people into your business. Nowadays, you can bring people into your business. That is huge. Bringing them in, showing the back end of it, showing behind the farm, in the farm, showing them around without having to physically go there. You got that online presence. Andy does a very good job at this. We're getting better with it, showing everybody what we do behind the scenes, what we are, it's out there. So that online presence can be more to you, because you got to be more than what a Nike or Apple is, and showing that stuff, because they don't know you. So you got to make them, bring them in on your story, and being on that online presence, and be everywhere, be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, be on all the platforms, get yourself out there when you start. There's programs like StreamYard that we're using right now that is very good to do that if you do the live stuff. Meta has a very good back end where you can post on Instagram and Facebook. So it doesn't take a lot of work these days. A lot of it travels, and you can use the same content over all the platforms. Just repurpose it. It's fine. But get yourself out there online, market it towards your local area. And there's target marketing you can do in zip codes and everything, because you don't want to market online on a Facebook, Meta, Instagram, and it goes to California and you're in Illinois. That's not going to do you any good. So you want to be hyper local in that advertisement too, and just being online wherever it goes. Even if you're not spending the money on advertisement, just where it's going, you want to be hyper local and sending it out there. Online present to me is one of the reasons why we grew the business where we are at right now, because people knew about us when they came to the farmers market. And, because we started in January and we started posting stuff. Markets in May, middle of May. People came up to the stand trying to figure out what we were and asking questions because they've seen us online for 5 months, which helped our sales tremendously being at the farmers market. Andy, I know you've done really good with online presence.
Yeah, especially when we first started. I mean, we were really heavy in just being on social media as much as we could, especially on Facebook, because that's just it reaches more people ultimately than most of the others. At least people that have money.
Yeah.
Instagram usually is going to be your younger people. They're not going to want to spend money on your microgreens for the most part. We found Facebook was definitely the way to go. If you're going to put your effort in, at least go down that road at minimum. But we did a lot of every time we had like a market, if you will, right in front of our house, I would go on, just record myself real quick. And I didn't go live, but if it's that way, if I made a mistake, I could just re-record it or whatever. But I would always record myself saying, hey, we're out here today. This is what we've got. And then I would record every single thing. I'd walk down the line and show everything we had. And that way they could see it, because we were doing live harvesting at that point. And it was just a great way for them to go, oh, wow, what's that? That's pretty cool. I'm going to drive out there and go check that out. And then we did that constantly. And then we got into the point where we started actually videotaping what we were doing behind the scenes. And there's benefits to that, because when you're trying to go down that hyper local route, it's literally showing you, the farmer, doing the
Yeah.
actual work, and they see, okay, Andy's actually harvesting, Andy's actually planting, Andy's actually bringing all this stuff to us. And he lives in the city that I live in, which is like, it just kind of really emphasizes and drives home that point that you are hyper local, and that they see, you're not just buying these products and then reselling them to them, that you're literally growing them yourself. So it just kind of helps tell that story a little bit. They get to know you more. And, eventually, like I've said before in other podcasts, I mean, we got to the point where people were recognizing my wife and I out in public, and they're like, oh my God, you're the microgreens guy. You're the microgreens guy. And, just because I put so many videos out there. And we posted those videos into local Facebook groups and stuff to really help drive that interest. I mean, before you guys even knew who I was, we already had 4,000 likes on our Facebook page just from local people. This wasn't other microgreen farms
Yeah.
that had found us through this kind of stuff. This is literally just us pushing hard on social media to get a lot of people on. And it allowed us to post stuff and get really good response, because we already had a decent following, which was cool. So it was just it's tough. It's an uphill battle, but oftentimes if you can be the first one, if you can be creative enough with it, in your area, then it'll definitely generate curiosity. And ultimately that's what you're looking for. They want to be waiting for that next thing to be posted so they can learn more about you, more about your products, more about whatever. Don't go on there and be like, oh, I've got all these microgreens and they're for sale for $5 and $10 and $20. That's how you're going to lose people. If you just go on and talk about the products and the benefits of them and what options you've got and all these different things, and show them how they're grown. And, you don't have to get into detail, but just make a quick, film yourself for an hour or something, and then speed it up 100 times, and then play that little bit where it's just you planting crazy fast, or whatever, just something to generate interest. And like I said in other videos before, is just go in and record B-roll, just record some video footage of each individual plant, and then you can just keep reusing that and rehashing it whenever you want to. And you don't have to do any additional work. Take 5 seconds to throw together another video and throw it out on Instagram. It only has to be 10 or 15 seconds long for a reel or whatever. So, just easy ways to continue to build content without having to proactively build content.
Yeah, for sure. You don't want to repurpose it the next day necessarily, but 2 weeks from now,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you definitely can repurpose it. No big deal. So if you have 5 crops growing, you can kind of every 5 days, just highlight that crop or whatever else. So every 5 days you just rotate it out. There's ways of making it look different and doing things and everything else too, so people don't think it's the same thing also. So definitely definitely film everything you're doing in the beginning. Even if you're not on yet social media, you're not doing that when you're first starting out, film it, picture it, take pictures of it. And then you can post that later and be like, this is where I came from, and this is where I'm at now. And you can share that journey with people. And then you bring them in even more on a connection later down the road, a year from now, and be like, hey, I started here. Now I'm here. I know you haven't bought from me yet, but I hope you could check me out, whatever. And then they're going to get more connected with you because they're going to feel like, oh my God, this person really worked hard. Look at this. Like they weren't doing well. They failed at some crops. No big deal. They learn. They know how to do it now. Now I know I can buy from them because I know they went through the trial and tribulations of growing a business and doing everything else. And a lot of people are scared to buy from somebody new because they don't know if you're going to be around. But if you can show them that journey, hey, 6 months ago I was here, a year ago I was here, now I'm here. This is our product. Our logo's changed. Whatever changing and stuff. People will love that. They feel like more connected and brought in. And this day you need to do that because the big companies aren't bringing people in. They are a little bit. They're telling some stories, but you can bring them in really because they can come see you, and they can see you at the market. They can see you out in public. They see you out and stuff and everything else. We go out in public now, and people are like, "Hey, you guys are the microgreen growers. You guys are you're itty bitty microgreen growers, right?" Yeah. I bet 90% of the people that talk to us don't know our names
Yeah.
at all.
We got
It's crazy.
exact same thing. People would come up to us while we're out to eat. And I'm like, come on,
Yeah.
man, really? I'm sitting here eating dinner with my wife.
Yep.
But and I will say, I mean, one of the best people that does this is Josh, who's on here. He just commented a minute ago and said, "In short, be relatable," and it's the God's
Yep.
honest truth. I mean, Josh
Yep.
has a huge following, on almost
Yes.
every single platform, and he's out there just spitting the truth 24/7. And
Yep.
people respect him for that, and he's constant with it. Putting out good content every single day. So, it's part of it. But I know Josh would tell you the same. He's definitely got some content he's repeated over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Just stuff that he'd filmed prior that'll just throw together in a different way and put something out there. It's an easy way to have like just constant content that you can just kind of remix and do what you got to do. Throw some filters on it. No one's going to know the difference. Save you some time for sure. That's true, because a lot of people are just like, I don't have time to do that every single day, but you can still do it. You just got to be creative with how you do it.
Yeah, you can find the time. Take 30 minutes away from watching TV. You can find the time. Everybody has the time.
Yeah.
It's just where your focus wants to be, So definitely
Yep.
that's what matters. So for sure.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh my
Josh
gosh, I
had
didn't
somebody
hear
recognize him at an airport.
somebody says you guys are selling peas. Yep. There you go. Recognize them everywhere.
Yep.
All right. So with all that, now you want to get your marketing materials right. So when people get it in their hands, they know who you are. So make all that flow into your marketing materials, your brochures. We found more success with brochures than we did business cards. When you're talking to people about buying microgreens, you give them some information on a brochure, nice thick piece of paper. Don't use this a thin piece of paper they're going to lose. Nice thick piece of paper. So when people get that, they remember it. They can fill it when they go through. If they're going through like an expo or a garden show or something like that, they have a thick piece of paper. They're going to get that out of the package. They're going to get it out of the bag. They're going to fill that. They're going to look at it again. You have the colors right. Make sure it's colored. The words can be black and white, but your logo, the main information, make it color so they can see it and they don't look past it and just read all the black and white. So make it color. We have red words in there. So when it's the product, the red, and then the information about it's black and white, but the product, the main subject's in red. So it takes their eyes there. Brochures to me work much better than a business card because they get all the information. All your information is going to be on there: your name, your phone number, your website, and your products. Because they may be like, itty bitty microfarm. What did they do? Oh, I don't remember, and go past you. But if they have the sheet, oh yeah, they're the microgreens. Oh yeah, I tried them. They were really good. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to check them out, even if they didn't buy from you that day. So having that in the hands and everything else at the farmer's market, we give them away. Everywhere we go, expo shows, garden shows, whatever else, we give them away more than a business card. I find that to be more valuable. Business cards are valuable if you're dealing with a distributor, going to, somebody who's buying like a grocery store or something like that. Business cards can be valuable for stuff like that. But the general public, I find the brochures work so much better. Andy, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it depends on the environment you're in. I mean, for example, this past weekend we went to a trade show in Maryland, and I brought an entire box of brand new business cards I just got from Vistaprint. I think it was 500 cards, and I came home with probably less than 100 of them. I could not believe how few cards I had left. By the end of that weekend, we handed out tons and tons and tons of cards, which was awesome. But the problem is when they look at it and they say, "Oh, Fresh Source Farms, what do they do?" It
Yeah.
doesn't say on my business card I grow microgreens. It just has my contact info and everything on there. So the handout that supports it is, this little what do they call it? A rat card, I guess is the
Hmm.
technical term for it. And it's just a little rat card. It's got all the information on there. And like Mike said, it's got, the fact that we're family owned, how we started, all the things that we do. It goes into heavy detail about what microgreens are. And then on the back, it's got all the contact info across the board, and some additional information on top of that. So that's what, if somebody was taking a card from the table, I wanted to make sure they left with one of those as well, as much as I possibly could. Some people just walk by and grab a card and keep going. But I mean, literally out of an entire stack, this is what I had left
Yeah.
at the end of that day. And this is it. I mean, there's like maybe 30 or 40 cards sitting here. That was it. So it was awesome for that particular thing. But when you're talking directly to a regular person, oftentimes the handout, especially something that's leading them down the road of, getting set up for a subscription or whatever, that's going to ultimately be the thing that they're going to look at. And like Mike was saying, printed on nice, nice paper. Like these are, I love, they're from Vistaprint. It's called the Soft Touch. It's just
Hmm.
got this really nice feel to it. So we always have all of our stuff that we have printed through them on that. But when I take a price sheet to a chef or a price sheet to a distributor or whoever, I'm printing it on photo paper, like photos paper on both sides, photo paper. It's really thick and it just prints super crisp. And literally, I use the same fonts from our logo. So anything that's going to be like a heading or a title is going to get that same font that the Fresh Source does in our logo. All the regular text is going to get the same font that the word farms in our logo gets. All the text that's would be black is that really, really dark gray that we have on our logo, and it's an easy way to carry that branding yet again through everything. And all of our handouts are these really crazy popping colors. You've got that dark gray and with that super lime green, almost the lime green that's at the
Yeah.
bottom of the screen here.
Yeah.
And then that bright orange, it's got like a mildly burnt orange. But the goal is just again that constant branding. Everything looks the same. If they pick it up and they go, "Oh, these two things look identical. It must be the same company," And that's really the goal is just to really make that point driven. No matter where they go, they go to your website, they go to your Instagram, they go to your Facebook, they got a business card, they got your handouts, a menu, anything. They should be able to tell really quickly that everything is from the same business. And if it's really confusing, then they're going to get confused.
Yep.
You know what it is, but they may not make that correlation from one thing to the next. So make sure your branding is on point. If you really want to get big, it's important. I mean, Nike, those guys, they don't have a bunch of random weird branding things. I mean, all their text is the same, all their logos the same. Um, when I was doing website design, I walked into a hair salon that's local. They're a huge hair salon, very well known. They had When I walked in the door, there was 6 different logos that I could see because they had all these guys come in. They paid them a couple $100s and they would design a brand new logo for them. And I'm like, these all need to go. You need to pick one and brand it because
Yep.
you've got a branding disaster in this place right now. So we did a whole new logo for them and went from there. So, but that's important because I walked in, I literally was looking at all these different things. They had handouts, they had sheets they could give to, the customers that came in. They all had different stuff on them. It was ridiculous.
Mm.
So we got it all under control and, it was much better when it was all said and done.
One message. Give one message out.
Yeah.
That's the
Yep.
best advice we probably give is give one message out, whatever that message is at that time. Don't confuse people because, like Andy said, they get confused. They won't continue. They'll move on. They don't
Yep.
know what you do. They'll move on. So one message on your product, on your handouts. Just give one message out there for sure. And then after you got all of that, the most important thing you can do once you get all that and these people have decided to buy from you is customer experience. So you want to make the customer experience easy and they can do it. So like they're easy to buy, they're easy to get your products, they know where to get them, they know how to get them. You want their experience to be easy where they know where to find you. Like at the bottom of all our handouts, we have all of the stores that we to deliver to, all the stores that we partner with that have our products in. That information is down at the bottom of that sheet. So people can go, "Oh, I can find you here. Oh, I shop there. Oh, where are you guys located at there? Oh, we're over here in this area. Oh, okay. I'll make sure I'll check for them next time." But you want to make it easy customer experience to find you as well. Where are you located? Where, if you got a storefront, because we get that question all the time. You got a storefront? No, but you can find us at these places. Where do you live? Okay, yep, we're at this place. Where if you're in this location, what part of town or whatever town we deliver to? Yep, we go there. And then they'll give you like ideas of like, "Hey, I'd shop over here. Have you guys been in there. No, do you know the produce manager? Oh yeah, I talk to him all the time. His name is, and then you got a name. And then you go in and say, hey, your customer Carol sent me in. She said you guys really should be using microgreens. She shops here all the time. She would like to buy them. Oh yeah, I know Carol. Yeah, okay, let's look at your products. And then you've got a really easy conversation then. But you want to
Yeah.
make that customer experience perfect in doing that. I'm sure you've done stuff like that in the past, Andy, or still do.
Yeah, I mean, literally, our very first grocery store happened exactly that way, to where we had a customer that was avoiding going to a certain store that was nearby us that had another microgreens grower in it already, and they came to our house and bought ours instead. And then they were like, "You really need to get into this place." So I called them up. It was an easy sale. Sorry,
Yeah,
number one, we had like at least three customers by that point had mentioned it, but this one guy was really hell bent on it. And so I actually talked to the produce manager, and then I brought him some samples, and then I had him call her, the produce manager, and say, my customer called the produce manager and was like, "Hey, his stuff is awesome. These are the ones you should carry." So he basically helped us get through the process, which was awesome. But and then, I know I've talked about it on here before, but I don't remember, it was our third or fourth grocery store we got into. It was because of our branding. Literally, they saw the website, they saw the branding, they saw the labels, they saw how professional everything looked, and that was what gave us the thumbs up, because they had turned down every single microgreen grower prior to that, that had tried to get in there. So we're still the sole microgreen grower in that store, just
nice.
because of how nice our stuff looks and how good our branding is. So just some things to think about. You could be missing out on opportunities potentially without having it.
Definitely. And the more memorable experience you can give to the customer, that they're going to remember you. Um, Best advice at a farmer's market to make it memorable for them is to get to know them. If they have a kid, say hi to the kid. Most people don't do that. Say hi to the kid. Say, do you eat microgreens? If you talk to the kid, the parents are going to remember you for sure. If they have a pet with them. Oh, hey, what's your pet's
Yeah.
name? Stuff like that. Become memorable to them, because we have people still come to our tent and be like, hey, here's our cat. Da, da, da. Oh, yeah, I remember him. You may not remember the name from the next week, but they're going to tell you the name again because you've already been introduced to them. You've already talked to that cat. And so they're going to introduce you to that. Or the dog. Sometimes people come to our tent with this dog and they don't even buy, but if nobody's at the tent and you have somebody come up with a dog and you're talking to that person, it makes you look like you're busy. More people will come up. So don't be afraid of talking to people that don't buy from you at the markets, because that adds customer experience too. Because they're like, ooh, that place is busy. That tent's busy. I want to go check out what they got going on. So even
Yeah.
if nobody's buying from you that you're talking to at that time, it's okay to talk to them. And soon somebody comes up, be like, oh, let me get this person. Just move over. They're going to understand. They know they're not buying. They're going to know you're going to need to move on and talk to them. Sometimes we have people stand there for 5 minutes while we're talking to people, and then they start the conversation back up again. Hey, it's somebody at the tent, you don't look empty.
Yep.
So that customer experience can foster, people being there and everything else. But talk to the kids, talk to the pets, talk to them, find information out about them, and remember that. It may take you a couple of times, but remember that, and that's going to bring them back to your tent more and more often. I know you haven't done a lot of farmers markets, but when you did at your house, I'm sure you did that kind of thing as well, Andy. Right?
Yeah, I mean, we did farmers markets for 2 years, so we're not
Oh,
like
okay.
totally, but
Well,
yeah,
it's
I
been a
mean, but
while.
I would tell you the cheapest marketing tool you can buy is a thing of dog treats. I mean, we literally have a small bowl of dog
Yeah.
treats we keep at our table. Every single human being that walks by that has a dog, "Hey, does your dog want a treat?" Who's gonna
Yep.
turn that down? Nobody. So
Not the
at
dog.
minimum, you're getting them to come to the table, and yeah, exactly, the dog's all over it, and the best part is every time those dogs come through, they remember where those treats are. So they're
Yep.
pulling their owner right over to your table, and it gives you one more opportunity to talk to them about microgreens and hopefully make a sale. I mean, we've turned a lot of dog owners into buyers, as a result of them coming over. Because I mean, it's generous. You're there, you're handing out free dog treats essentially to people, and they remember that. And a lot of
Oh yeah.
dog owners, I mean, we love our dogs.
Yep.
They just, I mean, it's like family. It's like their kids. So
Yeah.
ultimately, if you treat their kids or their dogs well, they're going to come back and remember that.
Yep.
But yeah, we're actually getting back into farmers markets this year. This is the only
Okay.
year we haven't done them,
Okay.
just because it was well, I guess 2023 technically, because it was so crazy. But yeah, now we're actually going to be set up in the city where the farmers market is, so it just makes more sense for us to be there. But yeah, works out good.
Nice.
But even
Nice.
a funny thing is, real quick, I mean,
Okay.
they had another microgreens grower apply to be in that market, and the deadline was for the applications was the first of this month, and I completely forgot about it. So they actually called me and they're like, "Hey, you're interested?" I was like, "Oh yeah, totally forgot." So they took me over this guy, even though,
Nice.
yeah, but it's because of who we are, and it's because the
Yep.
people at the market know who we are. So it's like we had established that we're the microgreen grower in this
Yep.
area, and they wanted us over. And frankly, these guys were out of the state anyway. The
No,
other people, so it would have been kind of messed up to take somebody from out of state when you got somebody literally in that city. But yeah, so that's
awesome.
that's the kind of reputation, if you will, you can kind of precede yourself with.
Awesome.
So definitely comes in handy.
That's good. I didn't know you were getting back into farmers market this year, so that's awesome to hear, Andy. I love
Yeah,
farmers market. If I'm not doing them, we get so big that I have to have somebody else do them. I will always be doing farmers market because I just think it's a great place to connect with your people, your customers, and everything else. So,
yeah.
and both
Knowing we were
meeting,
going to be moving, that was the main reason why we
yeah,
didn't do it. We just
yeah,
knew
yeah,
it was going to be insane trying to get into a new space. So that's why we just were like, let's just take one thing off our plate for this year.
makes
But
sense, makes
definitely looking
sense.
forward to getting back to it.
All right, so that is building your brand and doing all the elements you need to do to piece it all together and do all that stuff and everything else. So make sure you build your brand, build that foundation of your brand, and make sure that it is yours and what you want to do. Take your time with this, of getting that logo done, getting your color schemes right, and getting your message right, because this will be what you are to everybody that you're going to
Yeah.
be out there. So you want to make sure you have it right. So if you need help with that, obviously we can help you out more. We do have a coaching program that we do over on school.com. It's called SKOOL. So a little play on the word of school, SKOOL.com. And you can get into the free community and you just put /growth bites in there. That is the free community. It does have a paid where you get growth bites daily in there and everything else. And the special offer right now is $19 for that. $19 a month. Every day you get a video about microgreens that comes out that you can be part of that. But the community part's free and you can get in there, connect with more people and everything. So I hope to see you guys over there as that. And as always, we want to thank all of our channel members on here. The ones that have been our harvest members on here. We really, really push you guys all on there and all our members as well. And we thank you guys very much. Andy, any last remarks?
No, not really. I mean, it's definitely like Mike said. I mean, that you're setting yourself up potentially for the rest of your business's life cycle. So it's really important to spend that time, get your name right, get your logo right. Because what you don't want to have to do is change the name of your business later on or change the logo, God forbid, especially if you're 2, 3, 4 years in and then you're like, oh man, I really don't like my logo anymore, and then you're stuck having to change it and rebrand everything and reteach everyone it's different. I mean, I know when I see a major company change their logo, it throws me off for the first couple times I see it. I'm like, oh, is another company named this? It's like, it's just so weird because you're so used to associating that particular logo with that actual company. So it's just some things to think about.
Yep.
I mean, hopefully the hope would be that we'd all get to a Nike sized organization or something along those lines, or at least state, or
Just a little
state
bit
or
of that.
county recognition.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, once you get that recognition, it's very hard to retrain everybody to think differently about your business. So, the branding is really, really important to get right the first time. And if you have to pay somebody to do it, that's money well spent for
for sure.
sure.
For sure. Definitely money well spent. Hope this helped guys out this episode. We will be here as always next week at 6, almost always, 99% of the time, on Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We will be here live for you guys, going over more and more branding stuff. We got a couple more episodes, and then we have a special guest coming at the end of the month that will join us. Make sure you stay around if you are here live for the live Q&A and the giveaway, and we will see you guys